Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the MLG Studios in New York City. We're live here. I'm with Snute, who just took out nestea 2-1. First off, congratulations, man. I know a lot of people were rooting for you. I kind of just want to talk through the games a little bit. Game one was on Whirlwind. Of course, you went for this double Evo chamber, Massling style, really fast third. Can you talk us through that game and your kind of mentality throughout it?
Yeah, I wanted to go with such a strategy, try to keep my opponent on 2 bases and then get upgraded Zerglings. Whirlwind is a very big map, so the mobility of Zerglings is very nice, and then save up gas for infestors later on to counter mass mutalisk play, for example. And this is a style that I recently switched to because of the
Spore Crawler?
Yeah, the Spore Crawler changed. But in hindsight, I regret that I didn't practice more CVC. So this was all very experimental for me.
Sure.
But I'm glad it worked out in the end.
Now, of course, you ended up losing that game, but it was well fought. You're down 0-1 against nestea. What's kind of your mentality going into game 2, realizing that you have to win 2 in a row?
I was a little bit shaken, of course. I'm still very nervous. I always have trouble with that at offline events. So, of course, losing the first game is not really optimal. But I knew that I just had to, get it together and focus, and that's what I did. So.
Now, game 2 was a very interesting game. It was on Belshir Vestige, and he went for a pretty heavy Ling all-in the early stages of the game. And you didn't have an Overlord outside his natural expansion. When did you identify that was happening, and how did you hold that off?
Fortunately, I chose a strategy where I just took a late gas, so I had lots of minerals, and I skipped Ling speed in favor of a faster Baneling Nest, so I was kind of prepared. I watched some nestea games where he played against, I believe it was Dungrigu on Ohana.
Okay. And
those, Belshir Vestige and Ohana are kind of similar, so I expected nestea to do something kind of cheesy and aggressive. So I had it in the back of my mind, but I messed up the Overlord placement, and I feel quite bad about it, but my defense afterwards was quite good.
It was a great hold, and then of course going into game 3, that was a fast muta play from nestea. When were you able to identify those mutas? Were you completely caught off guard, or what did you expect there?
On Daybreak?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I identified it quite early. When I did the Zergling Baneling poke early on, I saw that he was on 4 gases, and I believe I saw the lair as well. And those are pretty much all the signs you need that 2-base muta is coming, and I did it in all of the previous games. So I knew that it was coming, and I had a decently timed Spore Crawler in the main.
Yes.
But still I took some damage. I think I should have had more. But unlike in the first game where I took 4 gases too early, I sticked on 2 or 3 gases earlier on in this game. So fortunately I had enough minerals to make spores and drones to, fight against the mutas.
So it's game 3 versus nestea. You're getting to the early to late stages, and I'm imagining you're realizing that you're ahead. How do you keep it together in a situation like that, where you're so close to winning, you just have to hold on?
When I managed to deny his 3rd base, lots of times I knew that I had a chance to win the game. But then I also saw that he was going for Swarm Host. And that's one of the transitions that I have the least experience with. Swarm Host can be really scary. If you try a Roach Hydra Infestor finisher, it might as well just fail straight up and you will lose the game to Swarm Host.
Right.
So I didn't expect my Roach Hydra Ling attack at the end to work. And so that's why I prepared a muta transition behind it. Because I knew that with my first attack, even if I would lose my ground army, I would most likely eliminate all of his mutas in the process. So then I would be able to do a muta switch against the Swarm Host. But I was so far ahead in macro, and I didn't really expect it. But yeah, I was happy to see that I had so much more in the bank than my opponent, so I was able to finish him off, even without the mutas.
Wow, well, very well fought. Now, what was going through your mind as he typed GG and you knew you won 2-1, and now you're heading on into the winner's match?
I was very relieved, but I still feel so nervous, and I don't know. I need to deal with it.
You're fine, man. You're fine. You can do it.
Yeah. I hope I don't get the CVC because I know that Sen probably watched these games.
Right.
So I still don't feel very confident in CVC after the sport change. I mixed up my style a lot, gone away from the standard 2-base muta recipe. So I'm kind of hoping for a CVP. I want to play some non-CVCs, but I'm more confident in CVP than CVC. So I'm hoping for Alicia to advance.
All right, well, best of luck. I know you have a lot of people cheering you on. You looked great in match number 1. You look great now. There's no reason to be nervous, man. No reason to be nervous. Of course, looking forward to your match against either, of course, our next match, Alicia versus Sen. Guys, this has been Snute, of course, who just defeated nestea in the first match. He's going to be in the winner's match of the round of 16 WCS America Group number 1. And now I'm going to throw it over to Nick, who has some analysis of that last match.
Thanks a lot for the interview, Alex. Of course, Snute pretty much walked us through exactly what happened in all those games. But let me take a little bit of a deeper look at that second game on WCS. We can see here one thing nestea does is even at the 5-minute mark, he's already cutting drones. In fact, he actually started cutting drones at about the 4:40 mark to go for this mass speeding all-in build. And as Snute mentioned before, unfortunately, he didn't have any overlords in those key locations in front of the Zerg's natural to spot those speedings coming in. He's trying to get vision into the opponent's main to see their tech. He's trying to see the gas timing at the back of the natural. But one of the most important overlords is, of course, that one that can see if your opponent is sending speedings to you. So as these speedings mass up and run out, Snute doesn't see it, and he's still building roaches at this point. He's actually building Overlord, and he's building more and more and more drones. Excuse me, I said roaches. I'm going to say drones. Drones, nothing but drones during this attack because he has no idea it's coming until just about, I think this Overlord right here might have seen a few Zerglings come in. But this is the moment right here where Snute gets a significant lead in this game just from really great, basically panicky defense. His defense is so perfect with having very few units on the field right now. We can see, in fact, what he does is he immediately sees that his speed is not going to kick up in time. He immediately sees that his queen needs to get in a choke point. And right here, as soon as the queen runs back here, this is what saves him the game because he realizes that, okay, all these speedlings are going to... I don't have anything to answer to them. And I need to get units now. So, step 1, I'm going to cancel my Zergling speed to give myself more resources to crank out extra units. Step 2, this queen needs to buy time to save all these drones' lives. So as we can see here, the queen can defend, and right now, there's 0 drones killed. This attack needs to kill a lot of drones, maybe at least 8 to really break even. Of course, if you kill enough queens and Zerglings, that works out too, but the drones are all able to escape to the natural with minimal losses. And then right here, this is where the ninja baiting pays off in a big way. Canceling the Zergling speed allowed him to continue to produce units even when a lot of his drones were actually not mined. They were in transfer. And so, of course, that way, with the baiting, he's able to take out a good chunk of these speedings, and then his speeding reinforcements, he's able to hold this very aggressive move by nestea when all he had was 3 queens, no spines, no baitings, only 2 Zerglings at the start of the attack, with only 2 drone losses throughout this entire invasion. So, of course, we can see here, he's up by about 10 drones now, and that's a big lead, especially considering he was up by 10 drones for quite a long time in this game, and it's allowed him to accumulate a lot of additional resources. Now, going forward, of course, nestea again goes for that tech build. We can see here his attack's been held off. He goes for the mutas transition with extra gases, but he's a little bit further behind than he would like to be because Snute has had the economic advantage. That allows Snute to take the 3rd base before nestea even starts lair. In a standard, in a standard approach when your opponent's going straight for 2-base muta and you're going for speedlings into a 3rd base, you generally cannot take down, start your 3rd hatchery until lair's already started. But having this 3rd hatchery up faster, having the lair slower, allows Snute to have a much longer period of time when he has the economic advantage. And then, of course, nestea is going to try to get damage on the mutas, and this is the 2nd phase of Snute's master plan, getting those upgrades for his speedings to allow them to deny his opponent's 3rd base. If his opponent wants to defend his 3rd base, the mutas are going to have to camp in that location. So we can fast forward to see this replay for a few minutes. We can see here Snute building lots of speedings to deny his opponent a 3rd base. nestea trying to get up the mutas. And what's really awesome is nestea actually, move the thing double 2. nestea was actually trying to do a really quick transition into speed roaches. When Snute sees that, the mutas are going to catch Snute off guard. And this is the strength of the new patch scorecards. We can see here, Snute doesn't know about the mutas. They're going to hit his main base with basically no knowledge. But as they get to his main base, even with no defenses, he can build these spore crawlers quickly, and as soon as one spore crawler finishes, the muta harass is pretty much all but over. So he's losing a lot of drones, but he denied the 3rd base of his opponent, which is exceptionally important there. So it's 3 base versus 2. Yes, he's losing a lot of drones, but he's still going to be able to reproduce drones over his opponent because he has 3 bases versus his opponent's 2. Once he defends muta harass, he's able to get an advantage in economy and then overpower his opponent with roaches. Before we end this analysis, one thing I want to point out, we can just go through this attack real quick. Snute gets an advantage, But what I love is after this attack really cripples nestea, is nestea's decision making going forward. Right? He's realizing his third base is canceled yet again. His opponent's re-droned. We can see your snute with a massive economic advantage. And then nestea says, you know what? I'm way behind in economy. I'm actually behind in roach numbers. So what am I going to do against an opponent who is ahead of me in army size and ahead of me in economy? This right here is a brilliant decision of nestea. Right at this moment. He says, okay, my opponent has all these roaches. If I keep all my roaches back to defend, maybe I can stop this attack right here. But what's going to happen? While I'm stopping it, maybe I'll trade a little bit favorably because the mutas are in the air, but overall it's going to be a fairly even trade, maybe a slight advantage to me. But a slight advantage to me, I still have less than half his economy. That means he's more than happy trading, even if it's like a 2-to-1 ratio in efficiency, he's more than happy to do that. So the only way for me to win is to try to counterattack. These roaches may kill me, but if I can kill all of his bases with a counterattack, my mutas can eventually clean everything up. So a brilliant decision by nestea to try the counterattack. It almost allowed him that comeback, but of course snute was able to defend at his main base, rally enough reinforcements, and only lost a natural to the counter. Then of course he was able to close out the win just a minute after that. This wraps up analysis on the Game 2 of snute versus nestea. Now back to Alex with the interview of the players in the upcoming match.
Thank you so much, Nick. Great analysis as always. I have the pleasure right now of being joined by the two players who are in our second match of the night, Sen and Alicia. Sen, I'm going to start with you. Coming from Taiwan, you don't necessarily have a lot of experience, in these outside events, since you're participating so much in the Taiwan Esports League. How did you prepare for this match today for your group?
Actually, before I was very disappointed about LVP, but that was like 1 month ago. Now I spent a lot of time on this matchup. I think it's pretty okay now. So I will show you guys. Good game.
Good. Now, speaking of which, of course, you're facing Alicia in your first match of the evening. How prepared do you feel against his specific playstyle? Have you been able to research him that much?
Actually, I don't know his style well because the game against Alicia is like 1 year ago, and I see only one game from him play on Korea GSTL. That's all. So I don't know really much about his style.
Okay. Well, best of luck in your match. Of course, I want to give you the chance to speak in Taiwanese to any of your Taiwanese fans out there.
大家早安，谢谢你们大家支持，我会加油的。
All right, fantastic. Of course, that's it. And now we have Alicia here. How's it going, man?
Good, fun.
Good, fun. New York City, of course, amazing city. Now, I want to ask, of course, you have 3 other Zergs in your group. Is that scary to you? I would be terrified right now. But how's your PVZ feeling?
지금 조에 3적으로 같은 조에 배치가 돼 있어요. 본인이었으면 굉장히 떨렸을 것 같고 굉장히 긴장 많이 했을 것 같은 지금 양주시 선수는 기분이 어떠세요?
일단 저그만 있어서 솔직히 처음엔 좀 좋았는데 다들 잘하던 분들이라 조금 떨려요.
In the beginning, I was a little happy because there were only 3 Zergs. There were only Zergs, but then I found out that all 3 Zergs are great players. So now I'm nervous.
Now, speaking of which, how do you feel against Sen in particular? Have you been able to research his matches much? How confident do you feel going into this match?
센 선수 상대로 뭐 어느 정도 연구를 했는지 아니면은 지금 어느 정도 자신감이 있는지 궁금합니다.
어느 정도 빌드는 준비했는데 먹힐지는 봐야 알 것 같아요.
I have prepared some of the build, but I gotta see how it goes.
All right, well, best of luck to you both. If you could shake hands and advance to your battle stations, guys. Match 2 of WCS America Round of 16 is about to begin. Don't go anywhere.